All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Blake's Takes. As always, with me, my co-host Garrett.
Hey guys, how you doing?
And today is going to be our review on the new movie, Top Gun Maverick.
This was quite an unexpected sequel.
It was. 36 years later, we get Top Gun Maverick, the sequel to the first Top Gun that came out in 1986.
Absolutely insane.
That's a long time.
That is a very long time. And most times when you see a sequel come out that many years after the original movie, my initial thought is always, this is just a cash grab. They're going to just shit on the name of this amazing original movie.
Yeah, so you say amazing original movie, which brings up a point as well. Let's stick with the 1986 one for a minute. A lot of people, this was met with a lot of mixed reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I know a lot of people shit on it and, sometimes shit on me for liking the original 1986 Top Gun as much as I do. But I don't get where that hate comes from because I know it's an 80s movie. I know it can be cringy at moments.
But what 80s movie isn't?
Exactly.
Like, there's so many 80s movies with that kind of cringe vibe to it.
Yes,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That was kind of like the formula for 80s movies. I'm not saying all 80s movies were like that, but a decent amount of the writing, the dialogue for 80s movies, they can get pretty cringy at times and corny.
The writing and just the scenes in general themselves. Like, there's a lot of 80s movies where you see a scene and you're like, oh my God, that had to come from the 80s. Like, you just know it right off the bat.
You just know. There's a vibe to it. But no, I really did enjoy the original Top Gun. I thought it was a very fun film. You didn't see too many films of the Navy that were fun like that, and it was definitely going to be used as like a propaganda for like, hey, look how fun the Navy can be, when we all know it's not
like that at all. But you know what, it worked because the year following Top Gun, 500% of like Navy recruitment applications increased. That's insane.
A survey from 1993 stated that 24% of recruitments stated that a lot of the influence for them either, applying or whatever, came from movies and TV shows like Top Gun.
Crazy.
That's crazy. And this movie in the 80s did amazing at the box office. It pulled in over $300 million on a budget of like, I think 15 or 30 million.
That really doesn't surprise me. That does not surprise me because just look at what they were portraying in this film. Like, freaking, what's more badass than a freaking fighter jet?
Right.
What is more badass than that?
Yeah.
That's like, people look at that and they're like, that's got to be the coolest job to ever have.
Yeah. And for as bad as a movie people say the original Top Gun was, in 2015, it was the United States Library of Congress selected it for preservation in the film registry.
Really? I didn't know that. Oh my God.
And like,
and of course, of course the government's gonna want
to
for sure preserve a movie that portrays the U.S. forces in such a positive way.
Right, exactly.
So of course they're gonna want that in the archives.
Yeah. But terrible films don't really get selected for that kind of stuff.
True. Yeah. No. If it was a bad movie, it wouldn't have made it. But still,
the soundtrack is 9 times platinum.
Oh my God, I know. Dude, like, so many amazing songs came out of this movie. What was Kenny Loggins responsible for like 2 major big ones.
Danger Zone was such a hit.
Oh yeah.
And the Top Gun anthem itself, that was actually the first song I learned on guitar when I was a kid.
Really?
It was.
Oh my God. It's an iconic song.
But it's so good.
It is so good.
There's not many movies out there that have a 9 times platinum soundtrack.
No.
There really isn't. So yeah. The first one really did have a big impact culturally on, the film world and views of, the military.
Yeah, and honestly, it just became like a staple of 80s pop culture, though.
Yeah.
Name one person that was like growing up in the 80s or like age ranging from like 15 to 24 in the 80s that doesn't love Top Gun.
And yeah, I totally get what you're coming from because I remember getting asked this question before, and like, what is a movie that really defines the 80s to you? And you could easily say like Back to the Future, that's a big one.
Yeah.
But for me, it was always Top Gun.
And honestly, I could see that more because like, obviously, even like, you say Back to the Future, like, okay, obviously, iconic 80s movie.
Yes.
But, a lot of that takes place in 1955, so you don't really get to see too many like 80s themes in there, even though they work it in. But Top Gun that happened in the 80s, came out in the 80s,
Yeah.
and the music is a perfect representation of that time period.
Yes, it is.
Tom Cruise. I mean, it's starring Tom Cruise,
Yeah.
who is freaking, top of his game
Yeah.
in the 80s as well.
Because you could even go back on our TikTok channel, like when I first started this, and Top Gun was a movie where it was part of films that I think should have a high Rotten Tomato score.
What is the Rotten Tomato score, by the way?
It's like 58%.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's at least like a 70 or 75.
The 65, 70. Yeah, I think in the 70s.
I say 70s for sure. Interesting.
Yeah, I know, right? So either way, whatever you want to say critically about the original Top Gun, you can't deny the impact that it's had.
Yeah, because it's had a huge one.
It has. So fast forward 36 years later, and we get Top Gun Maverick. So principal photography for this film began in May of 2018.
Insane, bro. And then
continued to April 2019.
Obviously delays with COVID.
Yeah. And well, the first delay was due to like several complex action scenes that they were filming. And then the pandemic hit, and then all those scheduling delays happened. And Tom Cruise was very strict on having this movie not be released on streaming services and in theaters.
Yeah.
And
that was the way to do it.
Yes, and I'm really glad he did, because Top Gun Maverick is a film that was made for movie theaters.
Absolutely. Like, look at what they're recording. I mean, they're recording freaking fighter jets and everything. Like, you can't capture that sound at home. Most people are watching this with speakers just like from their TV. Not everybody has a surround sound system. Like, me and you, like, we obviously, like, I like to have a good sound system and stuff. I could do it in my house, but not everybody has that. This is a movie, you want to hear the sound of these engines.
No, there's nothing like hearing this kind of film in a movie theater, sound wise, and even cinematography wise too, filming with the IMAX cameras.
Yes.
You got to see that shit in theaters.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Dude, the camera shots, I mean, this just shows you how the difference of 36 years.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously the original was good in its own right, but oh my God, the flight scenes in this one were amazing. I loved them. They were really so good.
No, the flight choreography really was amazing. But back to the, Tom Cruise being strict on having it not released on streaming services. I'm really glad that he's voicing of not having movie theaters die, because, during the pandemic, that was a really big dying business. Movie theaters are one that took kind of the hardest hits. Like, oh, are we ever going to get back to seeing, movies in theaters? And I'm just really glad that we have people wanting to keep movie theaters alive like that.
Yeah, because I mean, where else are you gonna go to get that kind of experience? Like, because not everybody, like I said, not everybody can afford that kind of sound system to fully get that experience, and you want that experience.
And there was recent news that Tom Cruise himself loves the movie theater experience so much he goes into disguise to see every movie that releases in theaters.
Yeah, he wears a hat and sunglasses and goes in.
That's great.
But speaking of Tom Cruise being like a very authentic person, I love how focused he was on like having this movie be as real as possible.
Yes.
Like, I mean, he's constantly been promoting the like how they were using real G-forces, real jets, no CGI. Like, he wanted this to be the real deal, and that's exactly what we got. And that's why the scenes came out as amazing as they did.
Yeah. No, you can see the expressions on their body, like
when you see the G-forces, you can see it like drag down on their face. Obviously, I'm sure they weren't hitting like 10 Gs like they said in the movie, because that's like insane.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they definitely had some G-force going, so it gave you the impression that they were under that intense pressure, because they were in some sense.
Yeah, even before the movie started, Tom Cruise came on and said, "We appreciate you coming to the theater, and we just want to let you know, like, these G-forces are real and everything."
Yeah, no, he wanted to make sure you knew that you were getting the best experience possible for this movie. And I like that they didn't cut corners, especially with having CGI as such a viable option nowadays.
And you know what's crazy too is, for long as Tom Cruise has been in this industry, for as many movies as he's made, as many big movies that he's made too, like the Mission Impossibles and whatnot.
Mission Impossible is a huge franchise.
This Top Gun Maverick has been the biggest opening weekend for him at the box office.
That's insane. Yeah. I did not realize that.
It grossed like over 150 million domestically, over the weekend, over like 4 days, and it's already made nearly like 300 million. By the time we're recording this, it's nearly made 300 million.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, people keep saying like Tom Cruise needs to get out of his action phase because he's been doing it for so long.
He's
but
good at it, man.
He's good at it, and it keeps working for him. Like, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
You know, until the point where he physically can't do this anymore.
Yeah,
might as well just let him ride it out.
And so moving forward with the plot of this film, this part kind of pisses me off why the original 86 one gets a lot of shit too, because yes, there are aspects of the plot that are different, but like the whole outline of the movie itself is pretty similar to the original, in my opinion.
Not 100%.
Not 100%.
But yeah, there's obviously a similar aspect to it, which, you know, you gotta have because, you know, it's Top Gun and Top Gun. And, you know, Top Gun is a competitive flight school. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
What do you mean particularly, though?
Like you have the instructor in each of the film kind of taking one of the pilots under his wing. You know, in the first one, it was Maverick being taken under the wing of Viper. And this one, it's Maverick taking Rooster under his wing. And then you have, you know, the same kind of like antagonist with Iceman in the first one.
Yeah.
Who he knows he's the best. He has that douchey demeanor. But he was more centered on like teamwork and not leaving his wingman, as to where Maverick, you know, was more selfish and wanted to like kind of work alone. But then the new one, Maverick, you know, you have Hangman, who has that same, you know, douchey demeanor as Iceman.
Yeah,
except this time he's more selfish.
He's more selfish, and he's more like Maverick.
He's
honestly.
more like he is.
And you know, Rooster's obviously the protagonist to Hangman.
Yeah.
Rooster's problem was he was like too focused on team, so it was
cautious.
Like or too cautious. It was like kind of opposite qualities in their flight.
Right. But then, you know, you also have you know, the love interest for each movie for Maverick. And there are so many callbacks in this movie.
A lot of them.
A lot of callbacks to where it's literally like from the original. And it's like, well, if you liked it in this new one, why didn't you like it in the original one?
Yeah. And
you know what I mean?
Yeah. And the callbacks, they didn't feel like forced either.
Right.
Like it was, you know, obviously nostalgic.
Yes.
It was very nostalgic, but you know, I still liked it. Like there was maybe like one callback where I was like, come on, but like
which one?
Honestly, probably the beach one. Like
the beach one, okay.
It was a good one, but you know, it wasn't necessary.
Right.
It wasn't necessary at all.
Getting back on track to the plot though, I thought it definitely was a plot that made more sense than the original. I like how, you know, they have these Top Gun graduates already. They already went to the school. They know the best of the best. And they're preparing them for a mission the whole movie. The whole time, you know, we're seeing their training, getting prepared for a mission at the end.
Yeah, it's not just about being the best. It's about being the best because you have to be, because they have a mission to accomplish.
As to where in the original, you know, they go through the whole flight school and everything. And then at the end, they kind of just throw like this random mission upon us. So I do like that plot a lot better, and it does make more sense.
And it still gives you that competitive aspect, though, because they're all trying to be the one to go on this mission and, you know, be the best pilot.
Yes, because only select few are going to be, you know, flying this mission, and then they got the reserves as well.
Yeah, everybody else is just on reserve.
Yes. So essentially an admiral calls back Maverick to instruct Top Gun and to prepare these pilots for this mission. But we get a nice surprise as Iceman, Val Kilmer, is back, and he's the one that was an advocate for bringing Maverick back to Top Gun.
Well, because he knew his skills. He knew he was the best.
Yes.
He knew he was.
We really got to see how best of the best Maverick was.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Like, and that goes back to, you know, the flight choreography and how awesome it was. Like, I mean, you see him training these the young people this entire time, and they're struggling to accomplish what the flight pattern that they need to do in order to get this mission accomplished. And they think it's impossible.
Yeah.
Because they've all tried it. They can't even get close to what they need to cover.
Yep.
And then in steps Maverick.
Yep. Yeah, because essentially this mission that they have to go on, you know, their flight pattern and the speeds that they have to hit, you know, one of the admirals thinks it's impossible, and Maverick needs to, you know, prove to them that, hey, this is possible as long as
You do it exactly how I tell
Yes.
you. Yeah, like as long as you listen to what I have to say.
no mistakes can be made.
Yeah, that admiral, he was about to can the whole program.
He was.
So he was, he was kicking Maverick out. He's like, clearly you've taught them that this mission is impossible.
Uh-huh.
What you're doing is not working. So he's like, you're done. So when he proved to them that it was actually possible in the jet, he did that illegally
Yeah.
and stole $1 million plane
Yeah.
to go prove to them, like, hey, you can actually do this. One thing about the plot that I did like a lot, actually, was the relationship between Maverick and Rooster.
Yeah.
I thought they did a very good job at portraying that, especially like, Maverick being kind of like this distant father figure because obviously Goose being gone from the original.
Yep.
He was doing his best to be there for him.
Yep.
And then we learn that, Rooster feels like betrayed by Maverick.
Yep.
In the past because he pulled his like application papers or something from the Navy.
So it set him like 4 years back.
Yeah, it set him 4 years back, and then we find out that that was a dying request from Rooster's mother. That Maverick did it, but he didn't want to do it, but he did it because his mother asked him, and Rooster's mother never wanted her son to fly.
Yeah.
Because why would you after your husband died in a freaking plane accident?
I did like the relationship between Maverick and Rooster, and I really liked the growth that you see from Maverick from the original Top Gun.
Yeah.
You saw him teaching those Top Gun grads about, not being selfish, not leaving your wingman.
Yes.
And that's, all Maverick really did in that first one.
No, he definitely shows his experience in this movie. And like everything that he learned in the original one held true in this movie as well. Like he didn't go back to his, he didn't go back to his arrogant ways.
There's really good consistency.
Yes.
Yeah. And let's not forget, Miles Teller, who plays Rooster, he literally looks like Goose's kid. I forget Meg Ryan's character's name, but Goose and Meg Ryan, if they had a kid, it would look like Miles Teller in that movie.
Exactly. Like Tom Cruise, he saw him when Miles Teller originally got casted.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't really, see the resemblance, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And then, but as soon as he saw Miles Teller walk out with, the whole get up, the flight jacket, the stash, the aviators. He was like, holy shit, you look just like Goose.
Yes. Yeah, it's crazy because I remember you saying you even thought Goose was Rooster in one of like the older pictures that they showed.
I think you were like talking about Miles Teller was going to play him.
Yeah.
And then you're like showing me pictures, but it was actually a picture of Goose. And I was like, oh, he looks just like him.
Yeah.
I was like, that actually is him.
Yeah. And so, moving forward, so with the plot, once Maverick shows the Admiral that this mission can be done, he's really given no choice but to assign Maverick as the leader.
Yeah.
As the leading pilot in this mission.
Unexpected turn there, honestly.
Yeah. I kind of expected that.
I don't know. I guess, It is called Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, there was no way we weren't going to see Maverick do some more flying.
True. In the heat of battle.
Yeah. So Maverick leads his mission. Obviously, shit's gonna go down. They're gonna need some conflict. The mission is successful, but then afterwards, they get into some shit with some what they call them, like new generation, like 5th gen.
Yeah, they're 5th gen fighters, and they're faster, better technology, just better everything.
Yeah.
So obviously, a dogfight with these planes is gonna be a hard battle. And they're almost out of there. Yeah. And but then one's going after Rooster, but he was out of flares, but Maverick still had his flares, so he flew by and he dispersed his flares, but in doing so he put himself in harm's way.
Yeah.
And Maverick's plane got shot down.
So essentially Maverick gets in some shit and he is, he had to parachute down to the ground and he's about to get shot by this helicopter. Yeah. And Rooster, they're telling everybody get back to base, but Rooster trusted his instinct as Maverick was trying to get him to do, comes back and saves Maverick.
Yeah, for real. They're saying Maverick was a lost cause. And, he was willing to make that sacrifice, too. That's why he went and saved Rooster. Yeah. But, obviously that's not going to sit well with him. Flies back, shoots down the chopper, but in doing so, put himself in harm's way. and then his plane got shot down.
Uh-huh.
And then Maverick saw where it went down. He ran over to where Rooster landed at. He's like, that was a pretty funny scene. He was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Then just shoves his ass down like, "You idiot! Why did you come back for me?" And then I didn't know what was gonna happen. I mean, now they're both on the ground.
Yeah, they're both on the ground, and I thought it was gonna turn into like a Mission Impossible movie,
right? Yeah, they're both on the ground. No plane, no way of getting out of there. And
there's guys on the ground. I'm like, oh. Well, is this turning into like an actual like war movie? I don't
Seriously,
know.
I didn't know what to expect. But, next thing you know, now they're on the ground and they find themselves to the enemy's base and they only have one plane left. And guess what it is? The freaking classic F-14 fighter jet.
Yep, from the original Top Gun.
They get the jet.
And they get out
They
of their
get back in the air.
Yeah, and they get out of their sticky situation and they're heroes of the day.
They are, but not what they didn't get. They didn't get away quite so clean.
They didn't. They
were about Dunzo.
They were about Dunzo, and I knew this was gonna happen. So Hangman, who, as we know, didn't get selected for. He was part of the reserves because he didn't get selected.
He didn't get selected for the mission.
He was selfish, and I just knew it was gonna be him to come in and save the day because he was way too good of a pilot in the movie to not have any impact on this mission.
Yeah, to just sit on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Like there's absolutely no way.
Yeah.
And this scene also showed character development for him,
It did.
Leaving people. He was always leaving people in the wind.
And what does this do? This is just like the original Top Gun as well, plot-wise, because that was Maverick. He was on the reserves, and then he had to be called to save the day for Iceman. And during the heat of battle in the original Top Gun, Maverick kept saying, "I can't leave ice. I can't leave ice. Like, I can't leave my wingman." And now we see this is what the new character Hangman learns as well.
Yep. And so, and then back to this scene, we think they're done for. They're out of ammo. They got another 5th gen plane coming right at them, and we think they're done for. But then out of nowhere, here comes Hangman in his jet, and he shoots the 5th gen plane down, and they get away.
That was good. It
was a good, satisfying ending.
It was very satisfying. Very satisfying movie. So now let's go through the list of all the callbacks because, boy, there was a lot of them.
All right, well, let's start with the opening sequence. Which was literally shot for shot. Like the exact same as the original Top Gun.
Literally gives the same exact message about the Top Gun school.
Yep. Established in 1969 for the top fighter pilots in the U.S. Navy.
You hear the Top Gun anthem. It starts with the dongs, and it just leads into this like almost shot for shot opening sequence of all these fighters just taking off and playing Danger Zone. I mean, it got me hyped up for the movie.
It did. Same here. Yeah. No, honestly, there was no better way to say like, "Hey, Top Gun is back, baby."
Yeah, exactly. And then just like in the original Top Gun as well, we see Maverick and Goose is their first night at Top Gun. They go out to the bar with all the other pilots. And Maverick tries to get with Charlie, the civilian Top Gun instructor.
Yeah.
And we see her walk up the next day, and Maverick is like, "Oh shit."
Yep. And that's what happens. Same exact thing happens. Except it wasn't them hitting on Maverick this time. It was them being an asshole to him in the bar, and them kicking him out of the bar, throwing him around and shit. And they found out the next day, "Oh my God, we threw our instructor out of the freaking bar last night."
Yep. And in that same scene, we get another callback with Rooster playing Great Balls of Fire on the piano.
Yep. And that was getting Maverick that was getting him in his feels heavy.
And as you mentioned earlier, the beach football scene, in the original, they have their sand volleyball tournament, with their shirts off, all these macho guys. And we see that with this beach football scene in the Top Gun Maverick.
Basically, but literally like the same thing. And then you even see the Admiral come out during the, beach football scene where he's like, "What's going on here? We got 3 weeks until this needs to get done and they need to be trained." And he's like, "Hey, you wanted a team? Here's your team. That's how you get a team."
Yeah, gotta have them bond.
Exactly.
What's crazy too is like even Maverick's love interest in this movie, her Penny, played by Jennifer Connelly.
Mm-hmm.
Her house even looks similar to
It did.
it, didn't it? Yeah.
The what?
On the corner, the White House, beach house on the corner street.
Yep.
It looks so similar. You know, Maverick's got the same motorcycle. Oh my God. Even the makeout scene in the original. I know a lot of people don't like that makeout scene in the original. You don't like it? I didn't mind it. Just a lot of tongue. Nothing wrong with it.
Dude, I did not like it.
That's funny.
Honestly, unfortunately, I couldn't rewatch Top Gun before I saw the sequel, but I was just rewatching it afterwards recently. Dude, I saw that scene. I was like literally saying ew the entire time.
Really?
Dude, it's so unnecessary.
I guess.
It's so unnecessary. I don't need to see all this Tom Cruise tongue action. I don't need to
There's
see
a lot of tongue in that makeout
It's so
scene.
much tongue, bro. She even like licks his neck.
Yeah.
Ew.
There's a lot of tongue in that original makeout scene.
I don't need that.
Well, I think they learned from that because in Top Gun Maverick, even though for a second I thought we were going to get the same exact shit because there was a shot where he's like on top of her and it's the same shot that they use in the first makeout in the original. But then, they had them talking and stuff. I was like, okay, this is a little more wholesome.
Yeah, I was like, this seemed to be definitely more of a family film. A little bit.
I guess. Another callback that I like too is that in this scene, we do see that a lot of what Maverick learned in the first one did stick with him because in the first Top Gun, Viper, played by Tom Skerritt, he tells, Maverick after he loses Goose, like fly long enough and it'll happen. Like you will lose people. And there was an accident that happened during the training with, Phoenix and Bob. For some reason, Rooster, he feels, like a little responsible for what happened. And Maverick tells him the same thing, like, hey, fly long enough and it'll happen. But you got to learn that you're up there for a reason. Shit is going to happen and you got to be able to let it go.
Can't hold on to shit like that.
Yeah. So just a lot of callbacks. And I'm like,
but they were good.
They were good.
And they worked.
They did.
And they showed Maverick's like learning over the years.
It does.
He obviously going from being the student to being the teacher. So, he's literally just teaching them what he learned as a student.
And again, I don't know why it kind of pisses me off because I'm like, if you enjoyed all these callbacks from the new Top Gun, basically the same kind of format, why didn't you like it in the original?
I don't know. Maybe it was the delivery.
Maybe.
I think the delivery was probably better in this new one.
Yeah. A
little more natural.
It definitely flowed better for sure. The acting was better.
It was better.
The dialogues were better as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think they just touched up on a lot of stuff that, the original missed out on.
But again, like, it was an 80s movie, so...
And that's why, which is literally my reasoning for, like, why those things came up short where they did.
Right.
Is because it's an 80s movie.
Yeah. And another pretty powerful scene in the movie as well was they bring back Val Kilmer as Iceman.
Mm-hmm.
And we had seen throughout the movie that Maverick was keeping in touch with Iceman and that they have, become good friends, but we weren't sure if we were actually going to get to see him.
Yeah.
And we do get to see him. And, if you don't know, Val Kilmer had throat cancer and left him unable to speak. But I like how they wrote that into the story as well.
Yeah.
That his character,
Yeah, they made it work.
Yeah, they did.
And, they basically gave him the same disease that he did.
Yeah.
In real life, that left him unable to talk.
Yeah.
And he was talking to Tom Cruise through the computer.
Yeah.
And then he spoke when he really wanted to get his message across.
Yes, yeah.
Even though it's hard for him. But I like that they did that.
No, that was a really cool scene, and I like the way they ended it too, with Iceman asking Maverick who's still the better pilot, and he's like, we've had a nice moment. Let's not ruin it.
Yeah.
Because they're two egos that are just going to...
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to let themselves be the less superior pilot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a really great scene for the movie, an emotional scene for the film. And they even said, it was emotional on set as well.
Yeah. And it added a lot more depth to Iceman's death later in the movie.
Even added more depth to Maverick's character as well. It was just really cool seeing that what we saw at the end of Top Gun lasted for until this, new Top Gun as well with their relationship and their friendship.
Yeah, like at the end, they finally reconciled their differences. At the end of the original movie, and that held all the way until now.
Yeah. So overall, what would you say your opinion on this film is?
I loved it a lot.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really liked it, and I think it deserves the Rotten Tomato score that it has right now, which is
I think it's at like 96%.
That's freaking incredible.
It is really good. A lot of people are saying it is amazing, and it was amazing. Do I think it's a 96%? I don't think so. I mean, I'd give it like a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed it. Obviously, a sequel that is better than the original, which you don't get a lot.
Very true.
Flight choreography was amazing. Sound was amazing. Not too much to complain about for the sequel.
No, it was a very good sequel.
Yeah.
Glad it wasn't just a cash grab movie.
Right.
And they didn't cut corners, and they did it right.
Yeah, they did. No, they really did.
And I think we probably have Tom Cruise to thank for that, because this is a movie that he holds like pretty close to his heart.
Yeah.
On this one. So I don't think he was gonna let them mess it up.
No, and I'm glad he stuck to his guns with that.
Yeah.
Definitely a movie that you got to see in theater.
Absolutely.
Gotta go see it in theater.
Gotta go see it in theater.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't have like a home theater with like good speakers or something like that. Go see it in theaters just once, so you're not just hearing it off of your TV.
Yeah.
It sounds so much better and is well worth it.
Absolutely. And I do think it is worth watching the first Top Gun before heading into this movie as well.
Yes. If you had, I think it might be off of Netflix by now. I'm not sure.
It's on Paramount Plus.
It's on Paramount Plus though. If you have access to it, go watch the original Top Gun before you see this. Makes the experience way better.
It does. It is a nice refresher, and you will be able to catch all the callbacks that they do have in this new Top Gun.
Yeah.
And hey, just go enjoy the 80s movie,
Exactly.
Man, it may not be the best, but it's the epitome of the 80s.
It is.
So yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for this review on Top Gun Maverick. Overall, just a badass film and a movie that you need to go see in theaters for sure.
Very freaking cool. Glad Tom Cruise was able to give us a sequel to his already iconic movie. And honestly, this just solidified the legacy. So
yes.
Very good movie. Go check it out in theaters.
A sequel that is very worthy of its predecessor for sure.
Mm-hmm.
As always, with me, my co-host Garrett, and we will see you guys later.
See you guys.
Peace.